I'm going to start doing that now. I'm going to start forcing you to see my art.
Good.
Well, first of all, have you never seen him draw a penis?
That is true.
Well, second of all,
I am pretty good at drawing a penis.
Torpedo tits?
Do you
two torpedo tits up, one super shit?
Do you consider directors artists?
Hold on. I mean, I do, but when I was saying artist,
we've got a director here.
I was thinking visual artist, like hand drawer.
I currently have one that's trying to get in the room right
I
now.
don't think you play Drawful with this man.
Alex, he's showing you his cat.
I need the picture. Oh my gosh!
Slightly off frame.
I love
There we go.
it. Oh my god!
This is Freya.
Hi, Freya.
She's moody.
Hello, Freya.
Oh, I'll put you down. I'm sorry. There you go. I'm sorry.
Worst part is, Joe, you've played Drawful with us. You know.
It's been a while since
She's not happy I picked her up.
Seldom are.
No. She is very moody and about being touched. She wants attention, then doesn't like it. She's the epitome of a cat.
My cat just wants attention, and he's currently... I can see his one eye peeking underneath the door, just staring into my soul, trying to get me to come open the door so that he can ruin the entire computer setup so I can pet him.
Alright, I'm going to give us a countdown. And I'm going to hit the intro button. Yes. 4, 3, 2, 1. 5. Wrong good.
And that's just on the condensed one. On this one, we can actually see all of you, Joe.
Yeah, you're fine, Joe.
If I sit over here, can you still see me?
Yes.
Well, I don't know anymore, Joe.
So this is happening, or...
Yeah, sort of.
That's loading. Oh, yeah, we're going to go with this one.
Powered by Riverside.
That was disappointing. It just abruptly ended. Welcome, everyone, to another Fight in March Mayhem. Today, we are going to cover Joe in raw steak and bacon, and we're going to throw him into a cage with my dogs.
Awesome.
And
I'm looking forward to this episode.
battle.
Me too.
To make things a little more fair, we are going to help Joe out by handcuffing his hands behind his back to his legs.
We're also going to put knives in his fingers.
Wait, what?
No.
Sounds more than fair.
And we're going to blindfold him.
What?
That way you don't know that you're about to die.
Oh.
That's how we're helping you. Nope, but today we have Undyne the Undying, who might actually be a girl, I didn't know that,
Yes.
taking
That
on
was my
Gex,
first impression.
who might also be a girl. I don't see a penis on him.
He does have eyelashes.
So we
What do
might
you think
have...
that tail is?
Oh!
And I do like the
That's a
he
big
has
dick.
eyelashes. Andrew, you have long eyelashes.
Yeah, no, yeah, but I have a dick.
He might be a girl. We don't know.
We just heard it's half the length of his body. It just goes by.
I do have a question though. Are we assuming Gex's gender?
I am. He's also got eyeshadow on.
I also don't think we're assuming. I do think that they do let you know in the games.
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought it's confirmed in the game somewhere. It's been a long time since I played games.
I would think.
It's a good thing.
I mean, there's that one mission called Gex's Big Hog, so I mean, I would assume that means that...
I have fond memories of Gex.
Sean, who is the higher seed in this Slammer Jammer Royale?
Gex, he's actually our number 2 seed.
Sean, would you like heads or would you like tails for Gex?
I mean, it's Gex. We gotta go tails.
True.
Heads!
It is.
Oh,
So you want first, second, top, and bottom.
This app is not fair.
it's totally
It's heads like 70, 80%.
sponsored by the Chinese government. No, okay. I'll go first. I'm totally okay with that.
All right.
Hold on, before you start out, let me look up something here. What are you looking up?
Gex's gender.
No, because I heard once that heads will win more times than tails because it's heavier. But everything's saying, oh, here we go.
Maybe a tiny bit, not
Maybe
as much as
in
you're
a-
getting.
If with a realistic coin, maybe, but you're using a virtual coin.
Yeah, but if it's based off a real coin, they would have to put that in.
But a real coin's not
I
gonna
think
be
they
like-
actually filmed themselves flipping a coin.
Every flip is a live
Yes.
recording. You hit it, and someone across the world has to flip a coin.
Some poor eggs,
Yeah, from
notification.
skimming.
Oh, shit.
Heads weighs a tiny bit more, Joe, so
Tiny bit, but that thing's like 80% heads.
yeah, because it weighs so much more.
All right. On that note, I'm gonna.
What weighs more, your head or your tail?
I mean, if I'm Gex, probably my tail.
No, I'm asking you, Joe.
That's not what coins are based on.
I'm asking you.
But well?
It's irrelevant.
Have you seen the coin I saw? That where heads is a topless woman and tails is her bent over. Which one's heavier?
And to be fair, I think a head weighs more than an eagle's tail.
See? Joe, you've just been busted by science.
Yeah, I definitely think
Alex.
George Washington definitely weighed more than an eagle. So that's fair.
You don't know that.
I mean, you're right. I don't know that, but his wooden teeth probably weighed more than the tail feathers.
Wouldn't that be
You
something?
also don't. That could have been a big eagle back then.
It's gigantic. It weighs more than Washington.
We're going to be voting on heads versus tails in this instead of Undyne versus Gex.
Fuck it. Heads or no. Well,
gotta
I mean,
bring
Split heads and tails.
actually, this is going to be a fun one because Undyne, when you battle her, takes off her helmet and you just see her head because she normally wears a full suit of armor. Technically, I started my arguments, so apologies on that one. But yes, Undyne the Undying is from the Smash indie hit Undertale. It's a very interesting role-playing game. I don't want to talk too much about it because the game is like major spoilers to talk about anything about it. So I'm really just going to focus on the character herself. But she is called Undyne the Undying.
Spoilers, bro.
Partly because her whole gimmick is she is first off captain of the guard, but second, when she literally has no health left, she activates what we would call in standard terms a rage mode. In the game, she hits what is called determination. And what she does is essentially brings herself back through pure rage and anger and continues attacking and living further. Not that it makes any difference, but her base health is 1,500 when she's in that determination rage. It's 23,000. So, like, yeah, considering it's an RPG and you have to kill, yeah, going from 1,500 to 23,000 is significantly more. So, determination, if she does go down when in regular form, she comes back stronger and harder.
Need tissue?
I'm wrong.
So, outside of that, she is known for, like I said, having the full set of armor, except for the helmet. So she is heads. Gex has a tail, so it works out perfectly. That's why I said that. But in all seriousness, you see even in that art that Jordan's been so nice to bring up, Undyne's main weapon is a spear. But not just any spear. Because it's a fantasy magical realm, she summons magical spears from everywhere. So one of her main attacks is literally a hail of arrows, but all the arrows are spears. So they come from all directions to come at the opponent. So depending on how agile you are, there's that. She can limit an individual's movement and essentially stab a spear up from the bottom, and it just kind of comes out of nowhere. She also can do a ring of spears, where the spears like circle around you and get closer and closer and closer until eventually it pierces you. But when she does go into determination, while she wears an eye patch, the eye patch goes away, and essentially white hot determination energy is in her once eye socket that was covered and becomes essentially a laser beam eye. So she does have that attack for range once she goes into that determination thing. But don't let the idea of large plate armor fool you. she is fast, even in the full armor. The whole when you encounter her in the game, you are trying to outrun her in her plate mail, and it's not easy. If you get into battle with her before you hit a certain point, you essentially cannot do any damage to her. So it's the whole idea that she's fast despite being in this big hulking, slowed down suit of armor. Yeah, I think that's gonna. One other thing, I guess, is in an alternate reality, she's a police officer who doesn't wear full armor, but same rules apply. But I'm gonna end my time there.
Mr. Gex, the floor is yours.
So Gex is, as his name states, a gecko, Gex the Gecko. And one of the things about Gex that would help him in a battle such as this is his ability to actually stick to not only walls but also the ceiling, giving him an advantage when it comes to evasiveness and getting around attacks. One thing I will say about Gex is he does not have a long range attack. He has close range and up to mid range with attacks involving his tail. He can also use his tail as a spring to not only land on top of enemies, but also to use it as a jumping maneuver to get him to said ceilings that he can then climb on. Another thing about Gex, and I would say practically his strongest feature, is that he has the ability to break the fourth wall. One of the things about Gex is he has the ability to channel surf, basically using a remote to switch to different realities. In said reality, he becomes the traditional protagonist of that world. So, as for instance, if he were to go to a James Bond timeline, he would be James Bond. Which means in this battle, if he were to switch over to the Undertale world, he would become the protagonist, whose name is escaping me. Why can't I think of his name?
Risk.
Which, once again, would give him the advantage of being the hero that defeats all of the villains in said game. Normally, I wouldn't use that, but as he is a character that does break the fourth wall, I would say that him being able to transverse to a timeline where this character is beat by a literal child would be enough to give Gex the advantage. And I'm going to rest my argument there.
You have come up with the official mascot for this battle.
So be alone is going to drive viewers.
Probably, they love cats.
He has both a head and a tail.
Internet
Ooh.
loves cats. Man.
That's true.
Most of
That tail was in your face the entire time.
Alright. Rebuttal time for you boys.
So realistically, while Gex could become the hero of that time, the issue with Undertale itself is that the hero can die, and there are multiple different endings and possibilities and routes that could be taken. So depending on what particular route Gex takes, it could end with Undyne killing him, or it could end with Gex besting her. But the question is, which one would he take? And so, I'm just going to say that Undyne is smart. She's captain of the Royal Guard, not because she's just strong, but she's smart. So, I'll leave it there.
So another thing that we have established about Undyne is that she obviously has a rage issue. One of the things about Gex is he's a wisecracker. If you've ever played a Gex game, he is doing nothing but making jokes about his enemies, making jokes about himself, making jokes about the player. So I feel that Gex would be going above and beyond to get Undyne off of her game by making snide comments at her, playing into that rage, and keeping her off of her game.
Alex, first for you, the Ring of Spear attack
Yeah.
is. So my question's about how does it work? Like, is it like a homing thing, a summoning thing? Like, is there any way someone can dodge it or get out of it once it's started?
Yes. So it comes down to the way the attack works in the game. So minor spoiler, I guess, but the way the attacks and the battles work in the game is you control a heart, and you are limited usually to a box. So it's hard to translate that to a 3-dimensional plane. But how the Ring of Spears works is literally the entire outside of the box fills with spears in a ring that are coming in. As they come into the box, there's like minor little areas where an individual can sneak out, but they got to be quick and agile to get through that.
So the way it comes in is like the storm in like Battle Royale.
Yeah, it just kind of comes in.
Okay, so it's like Undyne picks a point, and then
Yes.
all the spears come to there, and if the target moves away from that point before the spears come in, they can dodge it.
In theory, yes,
In
but
theory.
because they come in so close,
Uh-huh.
you have a
They
limited time to get out
They
before
start far away, or they start.
They start far away.
They start far
And then
away.
they
Yeah.
just come fast.
Yeah, they come in fast. And the other thing, I guess, is because there's 2 ring attacks, because the ring is the full circle. The arrows that come from all sides, that's not a ring, so it's not like it just comes in, but it's like fast, one after another, coming at all different angles. It's seemingly random, so that you can't really react. You have to do it very quickly. So that's where it's like, it's kind of a ring, but it's not in the traditional sense. Because that one does have that more 3-dimensional reality.
And Sean, for you, this question is brought to you by our sponsor for the episode, Scooblicious.
What's your favorite captain?
How tall is Gex? Like, is he man-sized, or does he become the size of whatever reality he's in?
I have this question.
So in game, he's whatever reality he's in. Like he has gone up against other, Okay, for instance, in one level he goes up against zombies. He becomes a Frankenstein monster. So he is always the same height as whoever he's going up against. But I think that also goes back to the fact that he's, however tall the hero of that reality would be. Honestly, knowing Gex, I don't think he would end up the same height as Undyne. Going into this, he'd probably be the same height as Frisk, but he's not.
City child or country child? There is a difference in size.
There's a difference.
I guess.
I was saying town, small town,
Also, how tall is
Suburb.
How big is Undyne? Regular.
roughly.
Okay.
That's
all I had.
I have questions. If I can clean the cat hair off of my questions list.
We won't talk about our sponsors, Joe.
I'm sorry. God. Please
Made a lot of
don't
people
stop
get here.
sponsoring us. What? So what are Gex's like reasonable attacks? Like, is he just like melee attacks and like mid range with his tail?
Pretty much. He's a platformer. So a lot of his attacks come in with either doing a tail whip to attack or to jump on his opponent.
Okay. Yeah, and you said he has no projectile attacks at all?
The furthest he has, like I said, is his mid-range with his tail where he sprawls out and sweeps forward.
And there's no point in the game where he like picks up a projectile weapon or something?
Not in Gex and the Gecko. Not that I recall.
What are Undyne's like weaknesses, if any? Like, is Undyne like particularly susceptible to like sarcastic commentary, or to melee attacks, or to something else that like Gex doesn't have? What's going to actually do damage to the gun?
Within the realm of the game, your character has a random assortment of like weapons. I put that in air quotes because one of the weapons is like a toy knife, but it still does damage. It's standard RPG, so like anything will do damage, but it ranges in how much it does.
Okay.
So technically, anything works.
I believe the best in slot by the Undyne fight is ballet shoes.
Yeah,
For
that's
what it's
why I was trying not to dive into that because it would just raise more questions for those who haven't played it.
So you were talking about like Undyne's rage ability.
Yes.
Does that is that available outside of like running out of HP?
Canonically, no.
Okay. So that
So
Gex
that is
has
the
to-
last. Yeah.
Gex has to get Undyne down to 0 HP or equivalent,
Essentially, kill her once, and she
Yeah.
comes back
and then she comes
stronger.
back with this rage.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any type of commentary you could imagine? We'll call him like a top level sarcastic commenter that Gex could make that actually get to Undyne. Does Undyne have any type of personality thing that's like we won't bring that up or something?
Only after the fight do you discover more about it. So technically, yes, but
Not
It-
in the context
in the
of
con-
fighting.
yeah, in the context,
Before the fight, how you could use it. Okay. That's all my questions.
her relationship is sensitive area, but it's also after the fight.
Because what we'll do is we'll go to Foxtrot, and then Tango will do you last because you're going to get the first vote.
I have several questions.
Okay.
Alex,
Yeah,
would it be accurate to state that Undyne is a one-man Spartan army?
pretty much. Yeah.
Okay. Second question. You stated that Undyne is very fast, and that the hero of the story is barely able to stay ahead of her, or
Yeah.
who is the hero? Someone who's never played Undertale. Who is the hero of the story? Is it?
There- It's a custom character that's a child that's canonical name is Frisk. They're about between 8 and 10 years old, and they've fallen into the realm of monsters and whatnot.
So she's barely faster than a 10-year-old?
In her huge suit of armor, yes.
Okay. Sean, you said Gex is breaking the fourth wall and becomes the hero, and can basically gain the abilities of the hero.
Mm-hmm.
However, you also stated that Gex is only close range and only hacks with his tail. So does it gain the abilities of the hero do nothing?
So, in a lot of it, it's mostly he just gains their persona. He doesn't, like, as my instance earlier, when he became James Bond, he doesn't get a handgun. So he doesn't gain their arsenal, but he also is a character that is becoming their persona, and a character that wins as that persona.
Does he gain any skills or knowledge that the protagonist has?
I would say that he would probably gain the knowledge, seeing as how he's fourth wall breaking and he makes references to the characters.
But like he wouldn't know how to like pick locks or get information out of somebody like spy skills that James Bond would have if he's in a James Bond story. He would just know like
he would
who
just-
people are.
he would
how to
just
get around
know-
and stuff.
The general plot.
Okay.
So
I would say he may or may not know the plot of Undertale if he's switching over to it.
I mean, I guess correct me if I'm wrong. When he does go into the new worlds, he kind of knows what to do when he gets there to like progress the quote unquote story.
but is he basically faking until he makes it type of thing? Then?
I mean, he would never admit to that.
So essentially, he is a gecko that has multiple personality disorder?
Kind of.
He's a really good cosplayer.
What he is, in all honesty, he's a fan. Essentially, when he's switching over to these different
Cosplayer.
universes, yeah, kind
That
of
was
cosplayer.
great.
He's switching over to things that he knows, because he's addicted to them. So he would know everything about Undertale if he were to switch over to the Undertale world.
I'm gonna throw out a way of looking at this and tell me if it's wrong. So first, have you seen Everything Everywhere All at Once?
I know the general premise. But
Okay. The spoiler alert for those who haven't seen, mild spoiler. The premise is that like the main characters can tap into the knowledge and skills of different versions of themselves from a different universe, right? Where like if a different choice had been made and they went off on a different life path, they can tap into those skills at different times when needed. Is Gex kinda like that, where like he goes to a different universe and he knows everything about the universe as if he had lived there, but that's kind of the extent of what he gains?
yeah, pretty much. Because, like I said, when he's going to these, they're things that he's huge fans of. So he's a super fan of like James Bond. He's a super fan of old monster movies.
Mm-hmm.
So he knows everything there is to know. He knows tropes. Like I said, he makes commentary, well-informed commentary with inside jokes about it.
I think so.
So he does know everything about that universe when he switches over to it.
Hey, I have one follow-up question for Alex.
Yeah.
So if Gex takes on some of the characteristics of the protagonist of the universe he visits, how does the protagonist of Undertale defeat Undyne in the game? Is it just like regular melee stuff, or is it like something special? Because there's an
Depends on
imbalance
how
there,
you play it, but yes.
right?
If they're taking the particular path where they're doing standard combat, yes, it would be just through pure attrition and just beat until they die.
Okay. So it's just kind of outlast.
Jordan, did you have anything else before we go over to Tanga?
Nope, I'm all set.
Okay. I guess, okay. I've played both of these games. And I guess, correct me if I'm wrong, for Undying.
Yeah.
I guess, in my opinion, the reason that we were taking the more esoteric, like, speaking to Dark Scion route is because him being calmed down would kill him. And this is a death battle. I feel like with Undying, they just kind of become friends in the reality in which you don't kill her, which I feel like wouldn't, for the purposes of a death battle, would just kind of turn it into whoever lives the longest.
Correct.
Which, no offense towards geckos, but I don't think they're winning that battle.
I'm literally up against someone called the Undying.
Yes. So, but I guess all is to say, Undying is beaten by ballet shoes. To some extent, or at the very least can be. But Gex doesn't really have much more than ballet type shoes. So I guess my question is, does Gex have any kind of jumps or bounces that in any way would do more damage or affect this battle in any way differently? Because he is primarily a platformer.
So he does. He can use his tail kind of like a coil spring, which it's hard to say because, once again, it's a platformer. When he jumps on him with his tail, it's a one-hit kill. Not saying that would happen in this battle, but, I mean, the jumping on them does the same damage as a tail whip. They're both one-hit kills. So I can't really say it would quantify as doing more damage, but it does have the ability to get him from the ground to the ceiling. So he can evade with that coil jump, basically.
And I think that just about does. I think most of the other questions I have been asked and answered at least partially. Yeah, I guess. Alex, other than the reviving thing, does Undyne have any kind of defensive capabilities that we've been talking about? Gex being able to avoid Undyne's attack. Does Undyne have any way that you feel like she could avoid Gex's attacks?
Realistically, I would say no. She's kind of just more of the tank where she takes those hits, but then deals hit back. So that's what I would say.
Okay, I'm good then.
All right.
Hold on.
I'm just doing math.
I drew a terrible Donkey Kong reaching for a banana. It's pretty bad.
All right. So Tango, you can go ahead and give your.
All right, so I'm gonna go with Undyne on this one. Mostly, my decision comes down to I've played the games, and I was thinking about if Gex becomes the main character of the Undertale world, I can't tell you how many times I died to Undyne before I actually successfully beat her one time. So if this is just a straight up odds game, then I'm saying that Undyne has like a 99% chance if I'm the one controlling Gex. So I think that's really just what it's going to come down to. I mean, those games, like half of the gameplay time is just trying to defeat like her. She's like one of the two bosses that you spend like half of that game just trying to beat. So I think I'm gonna have to give it up to my girl.
All right, Foxtrot.
I am also going to go with Undying. I feel like, just based on her mobility and the fact that Gex doesn't really seem to gain really abilities and more just knowledge when he breaks the fourth wall, I don't feel like that helping that much when he's highly close range, and I feel like Undyne would get the upper hand. So that's my vote.
All right, Joe, would you like to go first or last?
I'll go first. As someone who hasn't played Undertale and has not played a Gex game in a very long time, I'm going to vote for Undyne. I think she's going to be able to just, even if she can't move all that fast, but she's still fairly fast even with all this armor, I think she's going to be able to just tank it out, take the hits, and I think she's going to be able to deal more damage to Gex than he's going to be able to deal back. And I don't think Gex's abilities are enough to overcome Undyne's armor and greater attack abilities.
It's a consensus. I gotta go Undyne too. Jordan kind of actually finished it. We're talking about a Spartan versus a child-sized gecko.
Yeah.
And that's kind of it for me.
I'll be honest, child-sized gecko is terrifying.
It's a little terrifying.
But we're still talking about a Spartan, so...
Child-sized Gecko is also a great name for a band.
It is.
Speaking of bands, the Spear of Justice, which is Undyne's battle theme, is a freaking banger.
Yeah, it is.
This decision rendered, I do just want to say, one, a child-sized Gex the Gecko with all of his personality would be the life of any party.
Yes.
And
For sure.
even
If
if
made
Gex
to a
is
stipulation match, it could have been.
even if Gex is going to lose this fight, he's going to be very entertaining.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Jordan, I think you moved the wrong person forward.
Yeah, Undyne got moved forward.
That's twice I've done that now.
He's just that into Gex.
You said I had too much power.
And you even voted for Undyne this time.
I know.
No, but Gex was a worthy adversary. I think Gex is a lot of fun to have in this tournament, and I would not be against seeing Gex pop up again, because I do think there are some matchups Gex could win in these things.
He does have sequels.
I would love to, if this were, a real tournament with the characters meeting and everything, would love to see Gex leave the battlefield and join the commenters studio That would be
Right?
Yes.
All right, we got to get a cameo.
Alright, well that does it for this battle. Undyne moves on, but will Undyne take on Tom Nook or Mario? Come back next time.